It is incredibly difficult to reconcile mercy with the nature of this world. Whether you believe in a God, gods, spirits, ancestors, anyone who hears your prayers, how many prayers are actually answered? Or in a time and a fashion, or in a fashion that most people would want or expect? It's hard to see the the status quo of this world and how it operates and how we understand ourselves and what ends up happening to people who didn't deserve it, and how all of these people's prayers do not seem to have been answered. It's incredibly hard to reconcile all of this in the face of all of these prayers being made, all of these attempts to connect to the divine, to God, to gods, to various beings, in order to receive aid for a problem that is incredibly immediate and incredibly vital to these individuals making prayers and their individual lives and their individual needs that often, most of the time, go unanswered, and people end up either dying or suffering in remarkable ways, unfortunate ways, but remarkable just by sheer number and due to the sheer length of historical record, let alone the immediate truth that we see before us in this world, and people suffering now and the prayers that they're making and those prayers not being answered. So, barring just saying that all prayer, all gods, all beings of any kind, there's no supernatural nature to anything, it's all BS. Barring that, and I would bar that just because of my spiritual experiences, but barring that, how do we make sense of this? Are the gods, spirits, various entities and beings, are they just cruel? Are they uncaring? Are they unkind? Are they completely self-interested and not interested in us at all? Is there some kind of equation and addition and subtraction from karma, or some kind of amount of people that have to die, or some kind of amount of suffering that has to happen, and some amount of goodness that must not go beyond its limit within this world, within the universe? What is the nature of this problem of lack of mercy, a lack of answer to prayers? What is the answer? What is the truth of these beings if they do exist and we're not being helped? Why does God or the gods or spirits do not send more representatives? Why are there not more sons of God coming down? More avatars, more Krishnas, more Buddhas, more Christs, more prophets? Why are there not more of them? Why are there so many people and so few leaders and people to show us the path to God or gods or the way? Why are there so few messengers and so many people? And so many leaders, so few spiritual leaders, true ones, avatars like Christ and Krishna? Why are there so few and we are so many human beings, let alone all the other life forms? They might have their own avatars and Christs and prophets and sages. We're not really sure. We are very human-centric in the way we think about things, and this might actually, as far as us realizing that we're human-centric, that might actually help what I'm about to say. So, it makes more sense if we think about everything as an environment, as not like a patriarchal system where there's a god sitting on a throne, or gods or goddesses sitting on thrones and deciding who gets mercy and who doesn't get mercy, who gets food and doesn't get food, which prayers are answered and which prayers are not answered. That is a extremely human-centric way to think about it, and that we paint the images of our gods as humans when they probably look a little bit different. But it's also a very how do I say this? The age that we are in, there's ways that people operate. Tribes, chieftains, all the way to presidents. It's not as different as we might think, and it's not as big of leaps between societal structure as we might think. The idea of a leader, strong leaders, strong queens or kings, making the decisions, having the enforcers below them, having merchants as the next step below that provide all the stuff, and having workers below that who make the stuff in the shops for the shop owners, or work the fields for the farm owners. This structure is very much implied in how we view gods and how we view how prayers should be answered, how they're divvied out based on need, based on the line in which they are said. Who says the prayers first? Who says the prayers last? Who needs the most stuff? And what is the nature of a just God, or a just goddess, or just gods or spirits? And who is tread underfoot? And I think a lot of the time when we think about how many prayers aren't answered for the people who have the least, we're not keeping in the back of our heads the idea of those are the vast majority of people making the prayers, and they're not answered. But we don't think about that. We rather think about the hopeful stories of the times when prayers do get answered, and a lot of the time it's people doing it, people making things happen in their lives. So why am I being so pessimistic? So the only way that this really makes sense, whether you believe in a god, gods, whether you're polytheistic, monotheistic, whether you believe in a force, whether you believe in dharma, whether you believe in the loa, whether you believe in primordials, whether you believe in nature, spirits, animism, the only way that it all makes sense is not if there's a throne where somebody's making decisions from it and manipulating things. It only makes sense if, as I've said in other videos, everything's a part of a singular body, that God became everything, didn't create something separate from him. He's not on a throne. He's not a guy, he's not a body. It only makes sense if we are experiencing and interacting and making decisions as part of an environment, not in an environment. We are an extension of nature. We are an extension of God, of gods, of beings. We are an extension. We are not separate from. Our importance is not isolated to a human world and the natural world being separate, or the natural world and the metaphysical, the realm of the gods and goddesses and spirits being separate. Everything's a part of the same ecology. It is an environment. We are all part of an environment. We think of things as way too human-centric. That's why we get so frustrated when our prayers aren't answered. And that's why in the first place we expect our prayers to be answered, because we think that our life is more important than a bug who just wants to get around a stream, or an ant whose hill is being drowned by water, or a sparrow whose eggs have just dropped out of a nest and have been cracked on the ground, or using similar analogies, but a fledgling bird falling out of a nest and not being able to get back up to its nest and crying out for its mother. And we think that sparrow is less valuable than a child north of South Korea dying in the cold in the winter because her parents couldn't feed her, so they abandoned her outside and saying mom again, mom, 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 while she freezes to death in the winter, just because her parents couldn't feed her, and they couldn't afford to have birth control or figure out a way to handle that. And they couldn't feed they couldn't feed her and the rest of the children, so they left her outside. We view that life as being separate from that sparrow who fell out of a nest. Don't get me wrong, human life is important, and it's more important than a sparrow, but not because God or the gods or spirits say it is. It's because the earth itself, it's worked longer and harder to produce us, intelligent life, than the sparrow. The capabilities that we have, the ability to understand our intellect and even elements to our spirit, our energy, and our, the souls that are in us. The soul that's in me is not different than the soul that's in a sparrow. But the soul that's in me is in a higher form of technology that took the earth more complicated work to produce. And my soul eventually worked its way into being a human. And it's not that it doesn't make me better than the earth. The earth worked to get me to be here and in this technology that is a human being, into this character, in this huge game that hurts. It's a game that hurts. It's all a game, but you feel the game. And that's what somebody who says it's all a game doesn't usually put into the equation. This game causes you pain. This game causes you suffering, but it also causes you happiness. It allows you to be happy as a separate being. That's what this game is. So the reason why human beings are more important is because we're at a higher status, because our soul worked hard enough to get to this place. But nature also worked to produce this technology that we are in. We are not above nature. We might be the epitome of nature, but we are not beyond its confines. And usually people who do start destroying the environment and destroying it for future advanced souls who come into the highest form of nature's technology, start damning those future generations because we like to think that we're better. We're not better than nature. We might be the epitome of nature on this planet, but we're still smaller than the earth, and the earth is conscious. And, you hear people talk about it, oh, it's just topsoil. How does it have any knowledge, anything like that? Do you think that one of those mites that exist on your face, or a really small insect that's on your skin, something that's really small that lives on your skin, that's walking on your skin, do you think that it thinks about, let's say it's a face mite, for instance, that come out and have sex on our face when we're sleeping and then go back under into those pores of our skin. Do you think that they think about the skin as being another mite? They probably just think, ooh, something I'm living in. They don't think about it being conscious, but that's part of us. We think about our face and our skin being a part of us, don't we? We're no different from the skin mite, if we think that the earth itself, if we think that the earth itself is just something that we're living in. No, it's much bigger than us. Its consciousness is much bigger than us. Its understanding, its being is so much bigger than us, and its lifespan so much longer than us. And earth, all of this life on earth is different souls, but the earth itself has one soul as well. And it's not aware of us as individuals in a huge way, just like we think that it's not conscious because it's so big, and its consciousness and its soul is so big, we can't understand it. Most people don't try to understand it. We can. And we're just the skin mites on it, while we have skin mites on our skin. As above, so below. Levels. More and more levels. And as small as a skin mite in being is to us, that's how small we are to the earth. But you can believe that or not believe that. That's entirely up to you. What is apparently evident, however, is that all of this prayers not being answered, or mercy being divvied out in a very strange way or random way, is that we have to understand that we are part of the environment that exists. We're not special in it. That we're not in a privileged place in the universe to where our prayers are the ones who are going to be looked after, and not the rest of the animal kingdom, the rest of the plant kingdom, and beings that are higher than us, or beings that are in other dimensions. Human beings are not special. The only difference that we have from other beings on this planet and in relative dimensions around this planet is that we have way more free will and a choice about our nature. But a huge part of our nature that we think gives us privilege is the fact that we as human beings are a form of technology. The souls within us have reached a point where they deserve a human body, which is the highest form of natural technology. But it is still natural. It is still part of nature. It does not make us better. We can choose to embrace nature or not, but we are a part of the ecology. We are a part of this environment. We are not privileged within it. So there's hope and there's pain in this, because we have to treat life as if we're on our own. That we can't rely upon prayer. We can't rely upon something higher than us taking mercy on us. Even if we believe in that, and I do too. We cannot rely upon that. We have to treat life as if we're on our own. We can pray, and I continue to pray. We can continue to talk to our gods and spirits or God. But We cannot form our lives around relying upon that. We are here together. We have to save each other. We have to save ourselves, and we have to save this planet. Any mess that we've made or human beings have made, we have to clean it up. Any mess that we make personally, we have to clean it up. Any mess that somebody else has made in the past that is no longer alive, that we're stuck with the ecology of, we're stuck with the environment of, we have to clean it up. Or political mess, or religious mess, spiritual mess, a mess in the world between countries. Even if we didn't make this mess, we're here now, we have to clean it up. We can't leave it to somebody else. Even if the individual souls that we are, or us ourselves as individuals, didn't make the mess, we have to clean up. We cannot rely upon anything else. Now, that might seem disappointing or scary, but here's the upside. The souls that are human beings, we've entered human beings. We are the highest form of natural technology. So if anything is going to figure this out, any animal on this planet, any life form on this planet is going to figure it out, we have the best chance. We're at the top of the natural forms of technology on this planet. We have the best chance. We have the capabilities to figure it out because of our intellect, because of our advanced ability to deal with life and understand life and understand each other and ourselves. We have the best chance to work this out, to figure it out, and to find a solution. We can't expect anything else to help us on an individual level or at a species level. Can't expect anything else to help us. Though we can pray and we can ask. And it's important to pray and ask, because when we pray, it's not affecting a being. It's to alter the nature of the one who is praying. You allow your cup to be open and you empty your cup for it to be open to receive something through prayer. And prayer does happen. Prayer does get met with mercy. But we can't rely upon it. And we shouldn't assume that mercy is what's going to happen. We have to clean up the messes. But we have the best chance to do so. So, whenever you think about spirituality or religion or whatever you believe in these regards, or philosophy-wise, make sure that a big part of it is not you receiving your prayers answered or receiving mercy from God or gods. We have to clean this mess up. But we have the most tools and the greatest ability to do so, as we are souls in human bodies. Thank you very much for watching, and hope all of you have a wonderful day.